Apple just handed the keys to the world's most valuable company, $4 trillion, to a guy who's never run a profit and loss sheet in his whole life. And if you read it the way the headlines wrote it, you already missed it. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Steven, and I'm a futures trader who's been analyzing trends for over 20 years. I teach others how to trade the markets, and I'm an economic truth teller. Consider subscribing if you learned something in today's video, because the truth behind this move is subtle, but it's important. So here's the official version. Tim Cook is stepping down as CEO on September 1st. John Ternus, Apple's head of hardware engineering, he steps up. Cook moves to executive chairman. Clean transition, long-term planning. Everybody applauds. And that's the press release. But now let's pull it apart. Cook took over as CEO in 2011. Apple's market cap at the time, $350 billion. And that sounds big. It wasn't. Not compared to what came next. See, by the time he hands off the keys, Apple is sitting at $4 trillion. That's a more than 10-to-1 increase. One company in just 14 years. But see, the headline credits Cook for the hardware. Watch, AirPods, Vision Pro, and sure, those launched under him, but that's not what built the $4 trillion valuation. What built it was the pivot underneath the product launches that most people never even noticed. You see, Cook turned Apple into a subscription company wearing a hardware costume. Revenue went from $108 billion in fiscal year 2011 to over $416 billion in 2025. That's nearly a 4x gain. But here's the sharper number. Apple services business alone now clears $100 billion a year. $100 billion. That's not a feature of the company. That's a Fortune 40 company sitting right inside Apple itself. App Store cuts, iCloud subscriptions, Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple Pay fees, every one of those is recurring. Every one of those is a margin that hardware simply can't touch. Now, Cook's genius wasn't making great products. It was convincing 2.5 billion active device users to pay him monthly forever, just for owning one of those devices. So now pull back and look at who they just handed the wheels to. John Ternus is not a services guy. He's not a supply chain optimizer. He's not a finance architect. He's a mechanical engineer from Penn who's been at Apple for 25 years building physical things. The iPad, AirPods, Apple Silicon transitions, the iPhone 17 lineup, the MacBook Neo. The man lives inside the product. Now, here's where it gets interesting, though. That's not really a step backward. That's a calculated bet on what the next decade for Apple actually requires. You see, Apple's biggest vulnerability right now isn't services competition. It's AI. And not the chatbot version. It's the on-device version, the kind that requires custom silicon so powerful that your phone doesn't need to phone home to the cloud, to a data center to think. That is a hardware problem. That's an engineering problem. That's Ternus's entire career in 4 words. So Cook built the recurring revenue engine. Ternus has to build the machine that keeps it justifying running it. Now, here's the part that didn't make the top of anyone's coverage. Cook's new title as executive chairman includes specifically engaging with policymakers around the world. And listen to that again slowly. You don't write that into a press release about a board chairman role unless it's the actual job. That's not ceremonial language. That's specific function. Apple had a massive manufacturing exposure in China. The trade environment right now is not stable. Tariffs are unpredictable. Supply chains are under political pressure. And Apple just made sure the guy who spent the last 14 years building relationships with governments on 6 continents isn't walking out the door. So Cook, he isn't actually retiring. He's just becoming Apple's top diplomat. Ternus runs the company. Cook runs interference. That's a 2-man structure designed for a world where economics and geopolitics are now in the same conversation. And here's what that actually means for you. See, Apple is in more portfolios than almost any other single asset on earth. They have index funds, 401ks, pension funds. When the world's most valuable company restructures its leadership, the downstream effects touch retirement accounts most people have never even looked at closely. So the bet that Apple is making is that the next moat isn't software subscriptions. It's hardware that's so advanced that no competitor can close the gap. And they need Cook in the room when the governments start deciding which tech companies get favorable treatment and which ones get squeezed. So this isn't a retirement, it's actually a deployment. Now, if you want to go deeper on what transitions like this mean for the broader market structure, the AI infrastructure race, how trade policy is changing tech in the world at large, and what engineers in a CEO seat historically signal, that's the kind of stuff that I cover on my long form channel, where we use Vegas as a canary in the coal mine to help explain the real economy across America and the world. The link's in the first pinned comment down below. Subscribe to this channel for more easy to watch 5-minute reveals of what major economic news really means. And if you're hungry for more, but hopefully not hungry for steak, check out my video on how the 801 Chop House bankruptcy is a chilling warning to the restaurant industry. It's up here by my head. You're going to love it.